Welcome to Faith and Freedom. For the next few minutes, we hope to inform, inspire, and encourage you as we discuss the legal victories and challenges to your fundamental freedoms and religious liberties. Faith and Freedom comes to you from Liberty Counsel, a civil liberties education and legal defense organization. Join us now as Matt Staver, the President and General Counsel of Liberty Counsel, explains the latest legal issues all across this country in the courtrooms of America. Liberty Counsel is winning the battle for your constitutional freedoms.
New Jersey Governor Christie says no more funds for Planned Parenthood. Hi, this is Sean Akers, Dean of the Helms School of Government, in for Matt Staver today. And joining me in studio is Daryl Edwards, President of Liberty Alliance Action. Daryl, you know, the LifeNews.com has run a very interesting story about Governor Christie. He's been no stranger to the media lately because he governs in a way that many of us have found to be kind of a breath of fresh air. He marches to the beat of his own drummer and tends to stick to those things whether they're politically expedient or not. Now, one of those has been that several, when he reviewed the budget not long ago, he took a lot of things out of the budget. One of those things was funding for Planned Parenthood, and the legislature, especially the left-leaning parts of the legislature, came back to put those things back. And as of July the 23rd, Governor Christie vetoed those provisions. That removes, it looks like, according to LifeSiteNews.com, a total of about $7.5 million from Planned Parenthood funding in New Jersey.
Sean, you see where the state is also facing an $11 billion deficit. So he's just sticking to his principles, probably from a moral side and from an economic side as well. And Governor Christie he's really refreshing. He's sort of reminiscent of Ronald Reagan, who we all watched and still praise, because he able to take a stand and stand by it and not be bent to the political winds as so much we see in Washington.
You know, you're absolutely right. It is a breath of fresh air, because we look at him and he points out, look, our state has an $11 billion deficit, and you're still wanting to give. And when I say give, and he knows this is one of those connections that we need to make. When we talk about a state giving $7.5 million, they didn't create that money. That money comes out of taxpayers' pockets right now, not considering the national deficit that we all owe as American citizens. The people of New Jersey owe an extra $11 billion in their deficit, and Chris Christie stood up and said what makes sense to every single person who runs a household. It doesn't make sense to continue putting money, especially in places that you don't want it spent.
Well, what's worse is the $7.5 million not just coming out of taxpayers' pockets when they don't have the money, but the majority of the taxpayers who wouldn't want their money spent for programs that Planned Parenthood sponsors. Certainly at least referring or contributing to abortions. I saw a statistic here in this report that in their most recent annual report, Planned Parenthood Federation of Americas and affiliates list the following pregnancy services: 305,310 abortions, and then compared that to 4,000 adoption referrals. So they might say that we're mainstream, we refer adoptions, but look at the percentage: 305,000 to 4,000. We can see where the money is for them.
You know, we can, and your point is one that should not fall on deaf ears. When these people, not only is it taking their money and redistributing it, which is a socialist policy anyway, but it's taking it and putting it on something. I wonder, were we to poll the people of New Jersey and ask them just how many of them knew that their money, their tax dollars, went to the termination of 305,310 individual births last year. And I'll tell you, that would equate to many of them as 305,310 lives terminated that you made some sort of contribution to. Now, there is a little bit of sleight of hand going on here, Daryl. When Planned Parenthood says, and they make this claim so that they can try to do so with a straight face, that taxpayer funds don't go to fund abortion, they say that because the funds are quote-unquote earmarked for non-abortion things. Well, here's the problem that you and I both know about that. If you agree to pay my car note, but you do not agree to send me an extra so many $100 to spend on going to the movies, I'm still going to be able to go to the movies that much more because you paid my car note.
Basic economics, money is fungible. And if you pay for something here, you have freed up me to pay for something else that I wanted to do anyway.
That's exactly right. So $7.5 million from New Jersey would, as you say, free up the ability to spend $7.5 million somewhere else. It's a very porous cloth that we're dealing with.
And yet they think they
here.
pull the wool over our eyes. I had found another quote and looking in this and reminded me that when they were passing the stimulus package, Nancy Pelosi, she was claiming that the money being spent on the stimulus package to places like Planned Parenthood for abortion and contraceptive were cost-saving measures. And I guess when you carry that out, it's because, well, if we brutally kill the little babies before they're born, we won't have to worry about taking care of them later on in life and spending taxpayer money on them. And that's her determination of a cost-saving measure.
And that's something that is picked up around the world, especially with what we've always referred to it as the Malthusian specter, the Malthus fellow who made the claim that the world is overpopulated, and you see this in revival in several places. I saw a report not too long ago by an English group that said that the single largest carbon footprint, the single greatest way to reduce carbon emissions in the world would be to increase contraception. Now, let's read between the lines on that. What they really said, if you put that in plain English, is the best thing to do for the environment is to reduce the number of human beings. So is that a cost-saving measure? Well, okay, maybe they term it as a cost-saving measure there. The fact is that we're talking about human life here, whether it's on a federal bill in the United States, a state bill in New Jersey, or an economic policy, an environmental policy that's trying to be adopted globally. One way or the other, we're talking about human life. And for once in a long while, we've got a man, Christie, who stood up, breathed the truth into the air, acknowledged things for what they are, and said New Jersey's not going to fund this.
And we ought to encourage our listeners to write the governor of New Jersey, especially those who live in New Jersey, and applaud him for taking this stand. And maybe it'll encourage others to do the same, especially not just the moral issue, but the economic issue, that he's bit the bullet and said, no, we can't afford it, and we're not going to do this for social programs. I think the governor of Virginia, where we are here, they've announced that they took, a $1.3 billion deficit, and for some hard choices, now it's something like $125 million surplus this coming year in a short time.
That's right. The governor of Virginia, a Regent University graduate, is definitely made the news a lot lately because he's managed to turn things around financially. And Daryl, as you point out, it'd be a great place to start. If we couldn't start acting sensibly fiscally overnight, at least we can stop funding the things that are this wrong.
And the majority of Americans would oppose.
You bet they do. And we've pointed out several times on this program that every single time you put one of these type issues on a ballot, you wind up, it's not people showing up to vote for conservative people that wind up voting for these things. They show up to vote on these type measures, and that winds up benefiting conservative ballots because people on the social issues, they show up. They know that this is wrong.
That's why the liberals like to hide behind the elected officials. They like to hide behind the regulators. They like to hide behind liberal judges. What we need to convince our people to do is who you elect is very important. And there is a direct connection between who you put in office and what kind of results you get from it. And we're seeing that in New Jersey and in Virginia.
Well, and it speaks so loudly. There are a couple of ways to do that. One, we all fall back and know that how you vote is going to make a difference. That's absolutely true. But here's the thing. Those folks who are running for office are listening to everything that you do, not just what you say, but what you do now to figure out what kind of political footing they have. So, like we've talked about in the past, where it used to be that all politics was local, now all politics is national, whether you're from New Jersey or not. When you send Governor Christie your personal note saying thank you for what you did to protect life, thank you for what you did to act fiscally responsibly, thank you for infiltrating some common sense here, you're sending out a message that this is what we'll support in other elected officials. Now, here at Liberty Counsel, we enjoy very much bringing you these kind of stories, and we hope that you'll go to our website, lc.org, and see what else we're covering. Also, give us a call at 1-800-671-1776 and consider promoting what we do here with your financial contribution. Thank you again for listening, and we'll see you next time.
You have been listening to Matt Staver of Liberty Counsel. Our hope is to encourage and inspire you to stand up for your faith, family, and freedoms. We can accomplish a lot when we work together. Get informed and get involved today. Sign up for our free monthly newsletter, The Liberator. We will send it out to you free of charge. Stay informed with our Liberty Alert email update. Just click on the website at www.lc.org or call us at 1-800-671-1776. Tune in next time to learn more about your rights right here on Faith and Freedom.